Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Tuesday, August 11th. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr. Yes, we have reached Tuesday in what promises to possibly be the longest week in the history of college football, and the Big Ten football season is still alive. That is an improvement over where we thought we might be this time a day ago. Late Monday night, Nevada Buck posted some encouraging information on our Ask the Insiders board at Buckeye Scoop on the direction things seem to be trending for the season. Buckeye Scoop beat writer Tony Gerdeman joins me for today's ride on the emotional roller coaster. Tony, this season looked close to dead when most people went to bed on Sunday night, but a groundswell of college football players and social media may have helped to start to turn things around a little bit.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what today holds. Who knows? Will we be back up or back down? But it has been impressive to watch such a groundswell of players and coaches and even athletic directors wanting to be heard and putting their name out there, putting their statements out there. And it's clear they haven't felt heard through this, as they hear people telling them, Big Ten especially telling reporters saying that the Big Ten is getting ready to shut down, or rumors that things are going to get ready to shut down. And this feels like a last gasp in a sense, even though I guess maybe if they would have spoken up sooner, maybe it wouldn't have come to this point. But also, I don't think they thought it would come to this point, because even Ryan Day spoke on Monday about being pretty surprised that it came to this, 3, 4, 5 days after the Big Ten schedule was released. Why would you expect to wake up one day or, read the news at lunchtime, whatever, on a random day and see it looks like things are trending poorly, when all you've been doing since June is what everyone has asked you to do in terms of protocol, and you've been doing well, and things are going well, and testing is going well, and everybody is healthy, and then you're hearing that it's going to get shut down when there are seemingly no outbreaks, no reasons for a shutdown yet. So yeah, it's caught everybody a little bit off guard, but I guess that's just the world that we live in right now, it seems.
Yeah, you wrote about this earlier this week. You mentioned there's been players and coaches and some athletic directors who are willing to go right out there and say, yeah, we gotta figure this out. And there have definitely been a lot of people also talking about the fact that the season is doomed, and that has not been hard to find. But you just wrote about the fact that, a lot of the people who are willing to actually put their names out there and actually put their names on their quotes sure do seem like they want to play, kind of no matter what the anonymous AD from some Power Five conference says.
Yeah, and I took issue with now Dennis Dodd wrote something and quoted two ADs who didn't want to have their names mentioned because of the sensitivity of the subject. And so I took issue with the fact that since when has player safety become a sensitive topic? If you feel sure about this being the right thing, put your name on it. Don't be anonymous when it comes to player safety and wanting what's best for 19, 18, 20-year-olds. And we've seen the other side of that, where athletic directors have come out from schools, and coaches have come out, players, parents who are doctors coming out. I saw Aiden Hutchinson, Michigan defensive end. His father came out. He's a doctor, talking about he feels comfortable with his son playing. Parents from Ohio State have come out saying they're comfortable. So many people are putting their name on this, on the side of the more dangerous side, we would say, of wanting players to play when when COVID-19 is out there, as opposed to some anonymous athletic directors who won't put their name on the idea that it's too dangerous. And it just struck me the wrong way. It's almost as if maybe they don't believe what they're saying, and they don't want to be attached to a lie they're telling. I don't know.
Two guys who definitely did put their name on things on Monday, Ryan Day and Jim Harbaugh. And those are people who have been on opposite sides of issues pretty recently, pretty notably. But let's start with Ryan Day. He was on ESPN2 last evening. It was really interesting to hear him talking about how much they're willing to just kind of do to just figure it out. Like, whatever it is, we got to figure it out. And I think the idea of Ohio State jumping to another conference for a season has always seemed more than a little far-fetched to me. But, I don't think that's super likely at this point by any means, but he didn't exactly shoot that down either. And that, I think, was maybe indicative of like, yeah, they are really, it is like all options on the table. We got to figure this out and play something this season.
Yeah, he said we need to look at every option, and if that's the only option at the time, we need to explore it and see if that's something that we can possibly do. Because if it is, and that's what's best for our kids, then certainly we need to look at it, look at that, and do it. And that's definitely not shooting down the idea of going somewhere else and playing football. The thought of it is, it's fantastical in the fantasy sense of the word. Like, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's possible. But when the coach isn't shooting it down and saying, he has said all along from the very first time we talked to him, once this pandemic hit, is any football is better than no football. And wherever that is, and we saw that from Ohio State players and assistant coach Brian Hartline, recruiting director Mark Pantoni, basically everybody's saying, we will play anyone, anywhere, just let us play. And Ryan Day echoed that. And, if Ohio State and the leadership there is willing to play somewhere, I'm going to assume there would be other schools willing to play them this year.
Yeah, I mean, if people are looking to draw some TV ratings and potentially sell some tickets if they can get some people in the stadium, yeah, Ohio State versus Alabama, or Ohio State versus Oklahoma, or Ohio State versus Texas, or Ohio State versus Clemson. Like, yep, you will sell some tickets and have some people watching TV. So, in a year when that's probably pretty significant, that would definitely be something that would make your TV partners pretty darn happy. This just, I don't have a clue where this week is going to end. It feels strange that normally we feel like we at least have a sense that this is where things are going to go, and it feels like we've taken several like sharp, hard left, hard right turns in the last 48 to 72 to 96 hours. But no matter where this ends up, this just feels like it's going to be a very, very significant week in the history of college football, one way or the other. Either there's not a season, and that's pretty significant, or it gets delayed, but they figure something out and it's a very different season, or things go really crazy and they end up, Ohio State ends up playing down at Ole Miss this year or something ridiculous like that. I mean, it's just, I don't know where this is going, but it feels like this is going to be a pretty darn interesting week in college football all across the country.
Well, and you throw in the whole players asking for certain rights thing and that whole ball into it as well. And if the season does perhaps move back a couple weeks, things are going to shut down, and that's going to be the major subject of everything. Because if the seasons and the workouts and the camps get postponed because you can't be in camp right now if your season opens 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later or 4 weeks later than you thought, the talk then becomes about the players and what they're doing. The I wouldn't say the attempts to unionize, but the attempts to organize, and that becomes, can they get it done by the time the season comes back? Because if you listen to some people, they will tell you that the organization thing is what has really scared the presidents, and it's not necessarily the COVID. It's the idea that everything is going to change if this happens, and if everything changes, then everything is lost, or the unknown is the worst aspect here. And so if there is no football for like a month and all players are able to do is they'll keep in shape, they'll do their workouts, but then sort of left to their own devices on all of these different groups, what comes from that, and where are we in 2 weeks from that? And as we keep talking about, each day is its own little adventure here. The last couple of days have been their own. I don't know where we'll be this at the end of the week. To venture a guess, maybe we're just on hold, and then we'll keep counting down the days until we're back moving towards the season again. But who is to say what's going to change between now and then, I guess.
Well, something in favor of your idea that we may be kind of on hold right now. there does seem to be some significant momentum from a number of different places to just kind of push the pause button right now. We talked about Ryan Day kind of saying, figure it out, whatever. Monday night, James Franklin released a statement, talks about, how the past month has been taxing on the student athletes' mental well-being, how there's many unanswered questions. They need transparency and direction in the process, and how the university deserves it, stood as the game. And the quote is, while we all agree there is so much uncertainty, the best decision right now isn't to cancel the season. I implore the Big Ten to consider all possibilities to preserve college football this fall. Our conference intentionally built a flexible schedule, allowing us to easily postpone the start of the season. Let's delay, seek clarity, build the safest environment for our guys, and make the best decision. And he says, finally, I will support our student athletes' desire to play this fall and will exhaust all options for them. And he is just the latest Big Ten East coach to say something close to those lines. If you needed anything else to indicate that this has been a very weird year, Jim Harbaugh wrote something on Monday that received basically universal acclaim from Ohio State folks. Explain a little bit about what his argument for the season was.
I've seen Buckeye fans just saying only in 2020 could they become fans of Trevor Lawrence, Jim Harbaugh, James Franklin, all in the same day. And yeah, what a couple of days. And it is interesting to see the top programs come out in favor of playing. We know reports were that Nebraska and Iowa were also in favor of playing. So if you've got 5 programs right there, there's willingness to play. And as long as there's willingness to play and no rules that say they can't play, let's see what happens. And hopefully within the next few weeks, they get the kind of the players and the coaches, because Ryan Day is still waiting to hear how this is going to be safe to play. And players are still waiting to hear how this is going to be safe to play. And it seems like in the coming weeks, if they can get that information from the Big Ten, because Ohio State feels safe with Ohio State, Penn State feels safe with Penn State, Michigan the same. They feel safe where they are. But with an overarching voice, a voice over everybody saying, this is what is being done, this is how every team is handling it, this is what every school is doing, I think that kind of reassurance would help, as James Franklin talked about, just the mental health of the players, knowing that we're doing what we need to do. Other schools are doing what they need to do. That means, why shouldn't we have football? Just to have some reassurance, to have some confidence that what they're doing isn't for no reason at all, I think would make everybody feel better. And then if you want to rip the rug out from under them, you'll go ahead and do that. But just give them some confidence that you are trying to get everybody to have a standard of care and health and cleanliness that will keep everybody as safe as possible in a dangerous sport.
Yeah, this is either a necessary step towards a season, or we've just reached the bargaining stage of the stages of grief, and it's definitely one of those. Monday night, there were reports from John Wilner, who is a very well-respected, very, very well-connected reporter out on the West Coast, very connected with the Pac-12 offices. The Pac-12 was at one point Sunday night / Monday morning. The reports were that they were looking to cancel along with the Big Ten. Those were kind of the two that were looking at maybe canceling. Now it looks like, according to John Wilner, maybe more of a pause and a later start to the season. So that may be a start in mid to late September, kind of more on the SEC's timeline. He actually laid out another possibility. You start camp in late September, you open your season in like mid-October, late October, and then you have your Pac-12 championship game on December 19th and go from there. And, that has never seemed like a plan A for the Big Ten, but, maybe kicking the can down the road and giving yourself time to sort out the stuff that you probably should have sorted out before now, but, there's nothing you can do about that now. So, maybe that just buys enough time to make things happen.
Well, and that's what you're trying to do right now, and that's why Ryan Day said, if we need to take a deep breath, let's take a deep breath, and I think he's all in favor of that. And then you look around the Midwest, is it really any worse December 15th to November 15th? It just depends. It depends on the year, right? But to start that late would be odd. But at this point, you do whatever you can to get any amount of football you can in, provided you believe it's safe, and you're confident in everybody doing what they need to be doing. I don't know. It seems like an awful late start. Like, what are they going to get done in that frame of time, unless they find out like certain testing will be available for all people in like 2 weeks. Let's just hold off, maybe something like that. But it shouldn't take these organizations with as many resources as they have to get on the same page in terms of what everybody needs to do. And if the Big Ten needs to float them a little bit of money to get there, they can afford that as well. Not that the schools themselves couldn't be able to afford whatever they need to afford to play football, because as Urban Meyer says, welcome to the big leagues. You're going to have to pay something here, but there's enough resources to get everybody where they need to be to make everybody comfortable. And that's going to mean generally going above maybe the standard, or we call it a standard, but it's almost like a bottom line of where that is acceptable. And the top programs always go kind of above that, in terms of you don't have the same standard as everyone else. That's what makes your program better and elite. And maybe it'll just, you got to have this impetus to bring everybody up to an elite level in terms of care and planning and preparation for what it will take to play in a pandemic.
Well, last night, initially, there were reports that the Big Ten's presidents were going to meet. That turned out to not be true. The league's athletic directors were planning to meet. We waited for news, and we'll just break down that fourth wall for you. We are recording this much later than we normally do on a Monday night, just waiting to sort of see if there was any news that came out of that meeting. So far, we have not heard anything definitive coming out of those. But, I mean, because it's an athletic director meeting, Tony, I don't know that you're necessarily going to get any kind of a final answer one way or the other, because those are not the people who are necessarily making the final call on a football season. That is something that might come down to university presidents.
Yeah, and there's levels to all of this. And right now, this feels to me like just a communication meeting where are you? Where do you feel? How do you feel about having a season? Just airing out where your program is currently. What can you do? What have you not been able to do? Can you do this? Because 4 other schools are able to do this. Can we get everybody else to this level? And if we can't, what does it take to get there? So it feels to me like it's more of a just touching base on everything. And I'm guessing these are pretty regular meetings, because there's, as Brian Day said on Monday, there's constant communication. And I would guess there's constant communication at all levels, because as we have talked about, every day is different. And so this is one of those areas where I would think that Ryan Day will want to know what came from this meeting, like what is going on everywhere else, because right now that's the big concern. It's everywhere else. And I'm sure other schools want to know what's going on at other places so that they know what to tell their players, the coaches know what's going on. And just when we talk about the lack of overall communication and how people don't feel there's been enough communication, feels like this is one of those areas that some of that will be cleaned up, and more of that talking will happen, and you'll have a better understanding of where everybody stands right now and who needs to catch up.
Well, I mean, as you said, it is sort of changing day by day. And again, as of the time we're recording this, Ohio State is planning on practicing on Tuesday, last we heard. But there are Big Ten schools that have chosen to delay the start of their practice or didn't practice on Monday. And the Big Ten right now still has them just practicing in helmets. They're not going to full padded practices yet. That's something that you're probably going to get some kind of direction on fairly soon, just because either the season's going to start and you got to get in full pads, or the season's going to get delayed or not happen at all, in which case you won't have to get in full pads. But they're going to have to make a decision on that one way or the other. So we will hopefully have some new information on that for you on Tuesday. We are also planning to record an episode of the Buckeye Weekly podcast. We weren't sure if we were going to do that on Monday night, but we are kind of waiting for the news so we know what we're going to talk about. So you will have that to look forward to as well on Tuesday. Tony and I'll have a new episode coming out probably midday or early afternoon once we kind of know sort of where things are headed, and can have an update for you there. And make sure you also check out BuckeyeScoop.com. We have a team of reporters talking to all sorts of people at all different levels of Ohio State and people around the country and other programs. And lot of information kind of flowing through that site right now, both on our front page and also on our Ask the Insiders board. So if you are not a member, check out that front page. A lot of interesting information there. If you are a member, spend some time on that Ask the Insiders board this week. This is one of those weeks when that membership pays for itself, because there is a lot of interesting information coming through there, all hours of day and night. So, and I'm right now a little afraid we've missed something just even during the time we're recording, but I will hop on Buckeye Scoop as soon as we hit stop. So thank you guys for joining us. Check out buckeyescoop.com. We will be back with an episode of Buckeye Weekly probably later on today, and I'll be back with another episode of the Morning Scoop tomorrow. Have a great day.